Hello friends! Today I have a short video about 3 things that you can do with your green tomatoes. Now I mentioned in a previous video that here in Utah we had a cooler spring, cool wet spring, and our tomatoes just they did not ripen the way that they usually do. So that means that when we got ready to take them out, most of them were green. And the ones that weren't green, some of them did ripen up, but out of all the plants, we really only got usable tomatoes from the Amana tomato. The other tomato plants, for whatever reason, they were ripening up, but as they would ripen on the vine, they were like, I don't know, something was happening and they would fall off the vine and they were all like mushy and things like that. So I decided I'm going to pull the green ones. So this was a few weeks ago. I pulled the green ones and just thought, okay, I've got to do something with them. So a few things that I have done with them besides make some green tomatoes. And I like fried green tomatoes, but obviously you don't, I mean, you're not like wanting those every day. So you don't want to use a ton of green tomatoes for that. It's kind of like something that you eat maybe a few times after you pick them, but you're not going to be like, hey, I want mounds of fried green tomatoes. But I did make a few of those and I threw them in the freezer because they're nice to have for like appetizers if you're, having people over or something like that, which we are pretty much introverted hermits, but we do have people over from time to time. So it's nice to have like a little appetizer, and fried green tomatoes are great for that. But we also want to have the tomatoes serving more than just that one purpose. And I know a lot of people, they just go, fried green tomatoes, that's what you do with them. Well, we decided, I mentioned this in the other video, we made green salsa. I have a bunch of jars of that, threw them in the freezer. And the great thing about that is that this salsa, it's totally fine. You can't even tell that it was frozen. If you want to use it, you just take it out of the freezer. You set it in your fridge, maybe a day or so before you're going to use it. And it tastes like you just made it. Like, it's really great stuff. So we made that big, huge batch of that. And then we also, in years past, we have pickled some green tomatoes. That is why we have not made pickles in the past few years, because we have jars of pickled tomatoes. We're actually almost out, so we may do a few more this year. But I like to make this dill pickle soup. It's really good. But I don't necessarily need pickles for it because the tomatoes, obviously they take on the pickled flavor and they have a similar texture to pickles. So I will pickle some of them. And you also can use these on burgers, really, really good on burgers, having that pickled tomato, or just a deli sandwich or something. So that's another way that you can use up your green tomatoes, pickle them. And then you don't have to turn your cucumbers into pickles. The third way that I have used green tomatoes that has been surprisingly good is to make a green tomato pie. This pie will taste very similar to an apple pie. And since apple pie is my favorite, when we don't have apple pie filling, I will use the green tomatoes for apple pies. But at this time, we have like 24 jars of canned apple pie filling that my in-laws so generously gave us. So we don't need to use the green tomatoes for that. But if you don't have a bunch of apple pie filling, say that you usually make apple pies around Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, or just you like apple pie like I do, then consider using some of those green tomatoes as pie filling. I'm telling you, it's going to taste a lot like apple pie. It's very good. The only thing is that you just got to be careful with the moisture, like there's going to be a lot of liquid. So you make sure that you drain that off before you put it into the pie crust so that you don't have a soggy pie. But these are just a few ways that you can use your green tomatoes. How do you use yours? If you have a ton, I mean, we really did. We had more green tomatoes than ripe tomatoes. So we really had to, use them up in different ways this year. What do you do? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.